I have a role model, but she was a dance teacher. A lot of women, I don't say everybody, that we were always underestimated. One thing which is missing in the young generation, specifically I'm talking in terms of the science, that you have to be patient with your research.
Welcome to Scientifically Yours. I'm Gohar Raza and you are watching Scientifically Yours. It's a program dedicated to women scientists who have excelled, who are first-rate scientists of the country. Their contribution to the broad area of science and then specific areas have been covered in these programs. Today we have Professor Vibha Tandon with us. Professor from Jawaharlal Nehru University, you have excelled in chemistry, but you have also dwelled with other disciplines of science. How did that interface get created?
You can say that it was actually my quest for looking into the ultimate answer of science, because I always thought that if I create a small molecule, if I do synthesis of a molecule, and more or less we create a molecule for the humankind, for developing it into the new drug entity, for making new chemical entity which can be used for against the human diseases. So I always thought that if I make a molecule and just keep it in a test tube, that doesn't work for me. So I thought, why not I should myself look into its application part also. So I always believed in the translational research, and that quest and that made me to look into the biology or other part or enzymology or kinetics. So I always tried to look into that area. And
Nature in any case has not divided itself into compartments. Physics, chemistry, zoology, botany. This is our creation. And your research probably is a good example of synthesis of various areas that are so highly compartmentalized today. Scientists from one area do not even interact with scientists in the other area, and they speak different language. So how did you learn these languages of various areas?
yeah, so here I'll come that basically I was trained in both the area while I was doing PhD, and it was always my PhD supervisor, Professor Krishna Mishra, was always into that. If you are a good chemist, you should understand that where this chemistry has to be applied. Later on, when I joined B.R. Ambedkar Center for Biomedical Research in Delhi University, that was institute which was actually working at the interface of chemistry and biology. And the mandate of ACBR was to work to teach chemistry, biology, toxicology, pharmacology, immunology. So I landed where I want to land. So you can say it was just like a boon to me, whatever I was thinking, whatever it was in my thought process. It was very easy now for me in 1998 to let it come true and let it do what I really wanted to do.
When did you decide that you are going to do chemistry?
It was...
You come from a family which was family of intellectuals and educationists. Your father was botanist, your mother was educationist. When did you decide, or someone else decided for you? Maybe your father, maybe your mother decided it for you.
No, it
that
was
you'll
not
do science.
My father. My father was a very open-minded person, and the only thing he always used
Mother
to...
was not?
No, my mother was also, but my mother was not a scientist. Right. So she was a educationist. Obviously, she was a great educationist, but she was not into that, and she always never forced us what to do. But the one thing she always used to say, that you always have you should have a meaningful life, whatever way you feel that it is meaningful. But my father was a botanist, and botany was one area in which I was interested. But one thing which he tried to tell me, see, whatever you will do in botany, people will say that it has come from me. So do something which is more independent to you. And chemistry is one thing, chemistry was one thing which always gave me, and I got a very good teacher, Professor K.B. Singh. He was a wonderful teacher
in school?
undergrad.
Okay.
So I decided it in undergrad level, not in master's level. So at undergrad
You
level.
didn't decide it in at your school level?
No, I decided in school level to go into medicine. That was the issue.
Okay. Was there a role model in school? At home, yes, father was. It's a very broad hint that you have given that your father was your role model. But at school, was there some role model?
At school, I have a role model, but she was a dance teacher, Ajanta Chatterjee, never a scientist.
You didn't go for dance then?
I wanted to go dance, and I did Prabhakar in Kathak.
Which was your first love, science or dance?
Science was my first love, obviously.
And you gave up dance for science?
Yeah, that was there, yeah.
So you decided that you will be doing science, and then you decided, because your father was a botanist, that you will be doing chemistry, maybe, after giving up the idea of becoming a doctor. What were the questions that you were asking at that time?
See, my father was a diabetic patient, and he developed a complex disease out of that. And he had at the last stage of his life gangrene also. And and my mother also died out of cancer. So it was always a question in my mind that we say that science is so much developed, but why are not we able to really cure people or give them a better life? So the question was that can we really have such molecules which can be selective for the diseases? See, there is a constant problem from if you go from 1960 onwards, that we have molecules, small molecules which we call drug later on. But those molecules are not selective for a particular disease. In a layman's process, you can say that we say that it is anti-diabetic, but it has some other side effects also. It may cause some kind of a cardiovascular disease or some other disease.
We'll come back to molecules. It's very interesting that out of personal problems, you try to solve problem for humanity. I have to take a break at this stage. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Scientifically Yours. We'll come back soon.
कैसे हुआ आसमान नीला,
पानी को कौन करता गीला,
ये धरती क्यों है गोल,
हमारे जीवन में सूरज का क्या है रोल, हवाई जहाज हवा में कैसे उड़ जाता,
पूरी को कौन है बुलाता,
कौन भरता इंटरनेट में इंफॉर्मेशन,
क्या कभी हवा भी होगी रेशन?
सोचोगे नहीं तो पता कैसे चलेगा? विज्ञान प्रसार, ताकि हर निर्णय ज्ञान आधारित हो। विज्ञान प्रसार, 850 Institutional Area, Sector 62, Noida. Email info@vigyanprasar.gov.in. Website www.vigyanprasar.gov.in.
Welcome back to Scientifically Yours. We have with us Professor Vibha Tandon, and we were discussing how targeted medicine can improve all the molecules that are uncontaminated and they attack specific cells, how they will improve the efficacy of medicine. Is it very difficult to find such molecules and then make them work the way you want them to work? Because the molecules will go into the body anyway. Why should they hit and target the cells that you want to hit and target?
Yeah, it's like always if you want to have a targeted therapy or you want a small molecule to target a particular biological target and against a biological disease, and whatever protein or gene is being affected by that by that disease. So it is just like looking for a needle in a haystack, and it's a really difficult thing to look into. To search for a needle. We have so many small molecules, but we can to design a molecule and then target it to a particular target. It's really a difficult job, and what we do generally as a medicinal chemist, as an organic chemist, you develop methodology to make new molecule with say which is cost effective, which is more say easy to develop in the industry. But as a medicinal chemist, you have to attenuate it to make it target specific, less cytotoxic, and say having very least side effects to other
So
biological.
how do you find a molecule like that? What is the process?
See, there are two processes there. One is called rational and one is called as the general process, in which in rational drug design, what you do, that you know a target, you know the structure of the target, you take a library of molecule, and then what you do that you start docking those molecules in those targets, and then you can say that you do high throughput assay, and then you find a molecule which is showing a certain amount of activity against those targets.
You have been synthesizing a large number of medicinal plants. Were you looking for these molecules in those plants, or you were trying to construct these molecules?
In medicinal plants, when I did this work, it was like I was looking for an alternative medicine. Probably I will let you know that till today, the maximum number of drugs have come from natural products. And there is one very good thing in natural products, that whatever is the chiral molecules you say, or you can say a specific molecule, if there is a chirality, then out of them only one molecule, one chiral center is going to give you the activity, one chiral, and another one it doesn't give you that kind of activity. So in natural products, it is always, I was trying to look into the activity of those molecules, and what I was trying to see that if I can get any.
It was not only active ingredients, because earlier chemistry and biochemistry, you extracted active ingredient from the natural products, which were supposed to be medicinal products. Now here you were looking for molecule within the active ingredient. Do I
Single
understand
molecule.
clearly?
Yeah.
Single molecule.
Single molecule, and then if I can synthesize, because that particular molecule in the particular plant will be in a very low level. So if you really want to see the activity of that molecule, and if you want to bring it to the a drug level, or you want to bring it to the typical shelf for the benefit of the humankind, then you should be able to synthesize it into kilogram quantity. So my major aim was there, that I get an active molecule from there, right, and then synthesize it, facilitate its synthesis in my own laboratory, and then bring it to the market as a molecule.
But before that, one has to go in for trials, etc., etc. It's a lengthy process. You can't start producing drugs.
We never call it drug. We just keep on calling. See, what we do, that we take the we take the plant extracts. We didn't. After that, we reach up to the maximum purified extract, and if it is possible, single molecule, and then we check it on small animals. And after a small animal testing, you can go to the synthesis. It's not required that you go up to the human or the primate level only after the clinical trial. After that, see, when your single molecule shows you activity, then you can go ahead, you can do it yourself, or you can hand over it to industry or to the bigger science and technology organizations, and they can further get it done from some other sources or something.
Did this exposure at one level, the real exposure of society, at another level, reading books, did it shape your personality and help you do science?
Yeah, see, travel is one thing which always gives you a better know-how about the things, and I traveled abroad also a lot. And while I was shaping my career, yeah, I traveled at other places. It always gives you a feel of different society. It always gives you tells you that what is the need of different society, different places, small places, a metro and all those things. Yeah, it helps. And obviously, see, without reading books, you cannot, I at least believe in that you have to read, you have to study hard. To develop an understanding that what you really want to do. Even if you want to set a goal of your life, you have to read. That is there.
And this experience of moving around and going out and meeting new people, did it give you confidence to immediately go in for fellowship when it was offered, Fulbright?
Fulbright I got very recently, and yeah, obviously I applied because of that only. And Fulbright has one very good thing about it, which you probably, in what light you are trying to talk, that Fulbright talks about the cultural exchange also.
We'll continue the discussion. I have to take a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back soon.
कैसे हुआ आसमां नीला,
पानी को कौन करता गीला, ये धरती क्यों है गोल, हमारे जीवन में सूरज का क्या है रोल, हवाई जहाज हवा में कैसे उड़ जाता,
पूरी को कौन है बुलाता,
कौन भरता इंटरनेट में इंफॉर्मेशन,
क्या कभी हवा भी होगी रेशन,
सोचोगे नहीं तो पता कैसे चलेगा, विज्ञान प्रसार, ताकि हर निर्णय ज्ञान आधारित हो। विज्ञान प्रसार A50 Institutional Area Sector 62 Noida. Email info@vigyanprasar.gov.in. Website www.vigyanprasar.gov.in.
Let scientific temper be the basis for building nation. Welcome back to Scientifically Yours. We are talking to Professor Vibha Tandon, a professor from JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University. How has university treated you?
Most of my career was spent, or you can say built up of my career was done in Delhi University, and I spent my, Delhi University is a good place, it's a premier institution, they gave us all facility, and then we also tried ourselves to develop that institute, and because Ambedkar Center was actually started in 1998. That was the first batch of MSc PhD combined degree course which was started. So we grew with the that particular institute, and yes, there was as I told you in that was a great place, because you have all area of scientists, all area of experts there, and for a very small thing you have to just walk into the next room and you get an immunologist and you can treat it. So you can discuss your work with them, and if there is any teething problem, you have an answer. So that way it was a great place, and Delhi University has a good atmosphere, and I learned a lot of teaching there. And you know, if you interact
You
with
enjoy research more or teaching?
both, I think, and
Whatever
I always
research you have to do, you need to communicate it. To
and
the
whatever
underlying.
is the, see, when you teach a one master's class or undergrad class, it gives you equal satisfaction, which gives you through getting one good publication in your life. So I always believe that even if one student out of my class of 100 goes and does something good, it serves my purpose. So it is a very good and healthy atmosphere which I got in Delhi University, and I always learn from my
Do you get difficult questions from students when you are trying to explain your research?
very,
And they
very
give
difficult.
you a bright idea?
Very difficult question and very bright idea, and sometimes you learn from their.
As a woman scientist, you were always interested in science. You wanted to do good research. But then suddenly you got married. When you were a PhD student, how difficult was it to continue?
It was extremely difficult because not only I got married, I got a child in my second year of PhD program, and I was too young. I was just 22 years old lady, and it was really a difficult thing, but I could survive because of 3 reasons. One, I was married to a man who supported me blindly always, and who was
Deeply in love with you.
yeah, so
In
he
short.
really, and he was also very young and not very well settled. He was still struggling with his life, but still we grew together, and he took care of my daughter. And secondly, my supervisor, and who was always like, she was very tough, and she always used to say that, see, just I went on my maternity, and then she said that you have to come back in 2.5 months, and if you will not come back, I will cancel your registration. So it was all because of her, and because of my husband and family. Obviously my parents and my in-laws, everybody supported, but yes, my husband was a
That support system was very crucial.
very crucial.
Do you think that you would have discontinued if this support system was not there? Or you were determined?
No, I was determined. That way it was there. But yes,
So it was ultimately the determination.
Determination was
your
also.
personal determination to do good science
That was there.
responsible
Always
for
there.
this.
Yeah. And there were problems, always there were problems. And
Any
but
other problem that is specific to women?
there are a lot of problems for women in science as such. That is the recognition problem. I don't know how much people agree with me or not. See, every time women, lot of women, I don't say everybody, but lot of women, and personally sometimes it happened with me also, several times I could say, that we were always underestimated. And see, every time a woman has to prove that they can do good science, a woman has to prove that they can do
Much more than
much
men.
more than what men do. This problem has, you can say that it has really came down, but it has not, it is still
Resolved.
with society.
Every year you have been publishing about 5 papers, which is a lot. In fact, how do you manage it? For how long do you work?
See,
On
I
an
work for
average in a
around, say, at least 12 to 14 hours.
Every day.
And a weekday. I work on Saturdays also. It's like almost 2-3 years that I stopped working on Sundays. Earlier I used to come.
I would like to continue this discussion, but what message would you like to give before signing off?
I would only like to say the message to youngsters or the people who are specifically interested in science, students, that see science is something which requires a lot of patience. There is nothing which gives you a result immediately, so it may take years together to get what you really want. So patience and hard work and say voracious reading 3 things can make you a wonderful scientist. And one thing which is missing in the young generation, specifically I'm talking in terms of the science, that you have to be patient with your research.
The younger generation is impatient. So you have to be patient, you have to read and read a lot in order to do good science. It was wonderful talking to you. It was great. Thank you very much for sparing time. You were watching Scientifically Yours. We'll come back next week with another outstanding women scientist. Keep watching Scientifically Yours week after week.